Face reveal at 7 subscribers? I think so. Hello, welcome to my channel. I don't really think we need to get into a spiel about liking and subscribing. If you want to like the video, you'll like the video. If you want to subscribe, you'll subscribe. You know how YouTube works. Let's get into the point of this video. The iCarly reboot, in my opinion, the iCarly reboot is exactly what it needs to be. They really did a good job at transitioning it from a children's show to an adult show without it feeling too forced. It doesn't feel like they're forcing, like, this is an adult show with a different feel on the audience. It's very natural, like, this is what these characters would act like. Now, we're gonna see, more of how Spencer actually acts, obviously, since he's been an adult, right? Like, Carly cusses, and the show is, like, self-aware that that's kind of weird and jarring to hear Carly Shay cuss, right? I bought Paramount Plus solely for the iCarly reboot, and I will be continuing my subscription. I am satisfied. If you were on the fence as to whether or not you should get Paramount Plus for iCarly, I would say go for it. The most basic package is only like $5 a month, and you get a week free. And there's 3 episodes of iCarly currently out, so you could watch the first 3 episodes, make a decision as to whether or not it's worth it for you, and then cancel your subscription before you even have to pay for anything. So those are just my thoughts. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of this reboot. The first thing that I liked about the reboot is that they kept the same theme song, because I feel like it's acknowledging that this is still iCarly. It's nothing different. It's just, these characters are older now. They mentioned that Carly is supposed to be 26 in the series, so if that gives you an idea of anything. But in episodes 2 and 3, the theme song was shortened. And as somebody who obviously was an OG iCarly viewer and who really likes the iCarly theme song, I'm down to listen to the full theme song every episode, but it was only in the pilot. So I don't know if that's sometimes with some shows, sometimes they'll have like a shortened version of the theme song for some of the episodes, and sometimes they'll have the full length. So I don't know if it's gonna be doing that, or they literally only gonna have the full length theme song for the pilot, but I hope that's not the case. The show still has that very light and silly feel, but not in the same like Dan Schneider way that a lot of Dan Schneider shows do, where it's like very absurd and surprising comedy. It still has that silliness to it, but like I said, not as absurd for a children's show. One example that I really liked from the pilot, there is a party for Spencer. Carly sees a guy that she went to camp with that she knows from, like, I don't know, her childhood. They didn't really explain that well, but the guy asks, "How's your dad?" And she acknowledges the inconsistencies in the original series with Colonel Shay being in the Air Force, yet living in a submarine. Which, first off, that's something I never noticed in iCarly. Like, I think as a kid, all I heard was military, 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 military. Got it. Carly and Spencer's dad is in the military. Never once did it cross my mind that he would need to be in the Navy to be in a submarine, probably. Until they pointed it out in the pilot, but whatever. Now I know, and now it's gonna bother me whenever I go back and rewatch the original iCarly. Then the character asks about Carly's mother, and she's like, let's just go back to talking about my dad. Because in the original series, they don't talk about Carly's mom either. So I love that they're like keeping up that gag of everything where it's like, we don't really know, and we don't need to know, right? I felt like the pilot did a good job at explaining where everybody's been and what they're doing now to, set up the series. Basically, Carly wants to get back into content creation and is just trying to navigate what that looks like in today's social media landscape. Freddie, he's been married a couple of times. He's divorced, and he shares custody of his stepdaughter with his ex-wife. And Spencer is a very wealthy and famous artist now. We love to see it, right? They do mention Sam. Spoiler alert, there's gonna be spoilers throughout this entire video. Duh. Anyway, Sam is in a motorcycle gang, and they pretty much just leave it at that. I do hope that they continue to mention Sam throughout the series, because they were all besties for the resties, right? I think it would only make sense for Sam to come up every now and then. I know a lot of people are disappointed that Jeanette isn't coming back for the series. Same with Noah Monk, who played Gibby. Personally, watching these first 3 episodes, I don't think it's a loss. I already think it's a win enough that we were able to get Miranda Nathan and Jerry Traynor back, along with Mrs. Benson, and Nora Dershlit comes, Neville's coming in an episode. Like, I think we're getting a lot of great characters back, and I know you could be like, how dare you say Sam Puckett isn't necessary? Don't get me wrong, I love Sam just as much as the next person. When I watched it as a child, I probably liked Sam more than I liked Carly. What I'm saying is, I think they did a really good job at writing and casting new characters, so when you're watching, it doesn't feel like Sam's missing or you need another character. Plus, iCarly was kind of a traumatic experience for Jeanette, and I think we all should continue to respect Jeanette's decision not to be a part of the series. Same with Noah. I know, Gibby's a great character. Who doesn't like Gibby? That person doesn't exist. Everybody loves Gibby. But Gibby also didn't have necessarily the best experience on iCarly, and if he doesn't want to come back, he doesn't want to come back. I think it's more likely that he could eventually make an appearance, which would be lovely. But if he doesn't, that's fine too. We're still getting some really great past characters coming back for this reboot, and I think that's really great. One thing I was disappointed about, I want more Mrs. Benson. Let's get real, Mrs. Benson was one of the best parts of iCarly the first time round. She's only in the pilot for like a minute. I could use more of her. I hope to see her more throughout the series. That would be so nice, especially since they said Freddie lives with his mother. I would like to see the dynamic between Freddie Millicent and Mrs. Benson. I really would. Speaking of old characters, let's get into the new characters. Starting with Miss Harper, our pansexual queen. Absolutely obsessed with her like the rest of social media. I think they did a really good job at casting and writing Carly's new best friend. She's not a Sam replacement. She's just, someone new. And if you look at it realistically, it does kind of make sense for Sam and Carly to still be friends, but not necessarily close by, or just, you grow up, you need to do different things with your life. You can't just like live with your best friend forever and ever, right? And it would make sense for Carly to meet other people, right? She was living over in Italy. I would assume that she made new friends over there, and Sam would make new friends while Carly was away, right? Oh wait, she did in Sam and Cat. So that's exactly what happened, right? To be honest, I'm kind of sick of hearing all the comments about Sam and Gibby not being there, because it's okay, guys. And I think, again, it's not because they didn't want Sam and Gibby to be there. It's because they didn't want to be there, and we need to respect that, okay? The show's not bad because they're not there. The show wasn't only good because of Sam and Gibby's characters. That's like discrediting Spencer and everybody else on the show, and even Carly, okay? Carly is a big ball of nerves, and we never talk about that. Anxiety is like Carly's #1 personality trait, is it not? Anyway, let's talk about Harper, because she is fabulous. Basically, her character is just that she came from a very wealthy family that lost all of their money, and now she's trying to, rebuild herself up, and she wants to be a stylist. That's like her dream. She's, as I mentioned, she's pansexual. She's hilarious. Absolutely love her and Spencer's dynamic. Everybody on Twitter making those Spencer and Harper fan edits.
I still can't see.
Too bad. I'm super naked.
No, you're not. I know. Is Harper naked?
Who cares what I think?
Me cares.
Who cares what I think?
Me cares.
I'm already obsessed. There's only 3 episodes out and people are doing this. You gotta love the internet. You gotta love the internet. I feel like Harper has a lot of things and aspects of her personality that will be really interesting to delve into in future episodes. The other new character is Millicent, who is Freddie's stepdaughter. I don't like saying this, but it kind of feels like her character is when a show has been going on for seasons and seasons, so then they just like add a kid to the cast to kind of like spice things up so they have more things to write about. That's almost how it feels. The other thing I don't get about her character is she hates Carly, but they never really set up why she hates Carly. I don't know if they're gonna do that in a future episode. I guess I would have appreciated if it was done within the first 3, because I am sitting here wondering, why does Millicent hate Carly? Like, anytime Carly has a success, Millicent blatantly wishes failure upon Carly. And they just don't explain it, which I find interesting. Because obviously Carly, is our original influencer. Millicent also wants to be like an influencer. She's very into social media. So part of me wonders if it's that dynamic right there, where like maybe she's jealous that Carly's already had such internet fame, and Millicent hasn't had that fame yet, and she's trying to get it, but she's not as successful as Carly. So I don't know if it's that, but they did not explain. As I discussed earlier, they mentioned in the series that Freddie and his ex-wife split custody of Millicent. So to me, that could imply that she could be a recurring character. Like maybe some episodes she's at her mother's house, some episodes she's with Freddie, which, I mean, there's only been 3 episodes, so that could still be a thing, but she's been in all 3 episodes so far. And the thing is, I feel like her character could just be more successful if it was a recurring character, because there would be some scenes where I was like, why is Millicent here? Because first off, Millicent hates Carly, so why would you go up to Carly's apartment without Freddie if you don't like her? That's my only thing. But whatever, I don't think that she takes away from the series in any way. I still thoroughly enjoyed all 3 episodes with Millicent being there. Speaking of which, a quick little synopsis of all 3 episodes. The first episode, obviously, pilot, they just explain where everybody's been and what they're doing now. We kind of already discussed that. Episode 2 was about Carly's hater that she's had for years, and she's kind of just finally fed up with it and wants to meet him. And she does. He doesn't say that he's her hater. They end up going out on a date, and he, like, all of a sudden sees how nice Carly is and whatnot. And then she finds out he's the hater. And then obviously it like kind of goes downhill from there. It was a very entertaining episode. I really enjoyed it. Nora Dershowitz is in the episode. I have to say, I love the way Nora Dershowitz's character has progressed. And I feel like it was pretty realistic. However, the only thing that didn't make sense to me is, so you're saying that the character that kidnapped you and held you captive in your basement, if I saw that person out in public, I would like immediately call 911. They were just like, oh my gosh, Nora, and like have a conversation with her. And I'm like, this is a safety hazard, is it not? Is it not? And then she breaks into their apartment later in the episode, and I'm like, and we're not gonna talk about this? Regardless, I enjoyed Nora being there. Basically, Nora's gone to like a lot of therapy, but obviously, you know, she's still a little kooky, you know. Not all the kinks have been worked out. Her character was really fun. Love that the actress was able to come back for the reboot. It seems like they're bringing back a lot of the recurring characters. I know Neville's eventually going to come back. The guy that was the Pee-wee babies, he's coming back. The only thing with this is that I'm kind of like, how likely is it that all of these people that were in Carly's life are all of a sudden coming back? But whatever, I guess. I'm excited to see where it goes, okay? I would love to see Mandy come back. I really would, because what is she up to? What is her life like? Is she still quacking? These are the questions I have that I need them to answer. The last episode was probably the weakest out of the 3, but I still thought it was pretty good. Like I was enjoying it. I know some people on social media were not. Again, I feel like they're doing a good job of bringing iCarly to today's modern media landscape. Like in the 3rd episode, what really spurs the plot is that Carly eats one of these meatballs that Spencer makes, and she makes like a really grossed out face, and one of Spencer's new sculptures is in the background, so it kind of looks like she's making the disgusted face at the sculpture, and it becomes, you know, it becomes a big meme, which is exactly what happens on social media all the time. So first off, that was very realistic of something that would happen and could happen to Carly. Obviously, Carly was like the OG influencer, so it would make sense for Carly to have a very large media following still, and that a picture of her like that would pop off immediately. So I personally really enjoyed the 3rd episode. I don't know what everybody else on social media was talking about. And again, not every episode of a show can like really drive the plot forward. You kind of need those in-between episodes where it's kind of just like nonsense happening. Again though, like with iCarly, the show where like everybody's just like living their life is funnier than the actual iCarly segments. Like the segments that they show of Carly doing stuff on social media, like a live stream or whatever, it's not as good as the actual show itself. But again, I guess that's expected. Oh, another thing I totally forgot about is I feel like they're kind of setting up Creddy to happen. Not anytime soon, but in the iCarly reunion, Miranda Cosgrove mentioned that she thinks Carly has a crush on Freddie. Not gonna lie, as an OG SETI stan, does make me a little bit sad. Creddy just wasn't my favorite, right? But at the same time, I wouldn't be mad if Creddy happened, you know, far out. I don't think that's obviously, it's not gonna happen anytime soon. The series literally just started, right? But I feel like they could be setting that up. Like there's a scene where Carly's wearing this rabbit suit and Freddie's helping her take it off and they're like real close. And then Harper walks in and makes a furry joke. Again, we have to stand Harper. There's no other choice. But I feel like they could be setting up Creddy. And I'm not mad at it this time around. I'm really not. So to wrap up my thoughts, I personally, again, this entire video is absolutely subjective. I think iCarly is like the benchmark of what a reboot should be. It still feels like you're watching the same show, just updated, fresh new, whatever you want to call it, just new time, new place. Not really new place, since they technically are still living in the same apartment complex, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. I feel like they did a good job at writing the show for what these characters would be doing now and where they're going, and they got a great amount of the cast back. I feel like this reboot was made with love, and I'm very excited to see where the rest of the season goes. I hope it gets renewed for a season 2, and it's probably gonna help out Paramount Plus too, because I know I only bought Paramount Plus because of iCarly, and I'm sure a lot of other people did the same, but they have every other Nick show you could think of watching except Mr. Meaty. And as one of Mr. Meaty's only fans, I would like to watch Mr. Meaty in HD. I would like to watch the full series, but it's fine. I will take what I can right now. House of Anubis in as told by Ginger. I'm coming for you immediately. Anyway, thank you for watching. Go get Paramount Plus and watch the iCarly Reboot. Go get one of your friends' accounts and watch the iCarly Reboot and tell me your thoughts. I would love to discuss. Later.
Get your ball on.